Welcome to a journey exploring the wonders of the United States. Stretching across the North American continent, the United States is one of the most geographically diverse countries in the world, extending from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. With 50 states, it brings together a wide range of landscapes, including high mountains, dense forests, vast deserts, and long coastlines. Over centuries of development, this land has been shaped by rapid urbanization and economic power, while still preserving natural wonders and iconic landmarks that reflect its history, culture, and spirit of exploration. Today, the United States appears as a vast canvas of remarkable landscapes spread across its territory, from deep canyons and powerful waterfalls to expansive national parks and cities glowing with lights at night. And now, our journey to explore the most impressive wonders of the United States begins. Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Located along the Appalachian Range, stretching between Tennessee and North Carolina, this area covers approximately 2,114 square kilometers, with terrain shaped by hundreds of millions of years of geological formation. The ancient mountain system undulates continuously, with large elevation changes forming deep valleys and steep slopes, where dense forest vegetation grows with high coverage and multiple biological layers. Established in 1934, Great Smoky Mountains National Park is now one of the most visited national parks in the United States, receiving over 12 million visitors each year. The area is also recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site for its biodiversity, with more than 19,000 recorded species. Fog frequently forms in the valleys due to temperature differences and high humidity, creating a low-lying atmospheric layer that covers much of the landscape. Scenic routes such as Newfound Gap Road provide continuous views across connected mountain ridges, while Cades Cove still preserves its 19th century agricultural settlement structure. Visitor activities mainly focus on hiking, driving along forest roads, and observing the seasonal broadleaf forest ecosystem. From this humid forest ecosystem, the journey gradually shifts toward entirely different types of landscapes. Big Sur. Stretching about 145 kilometers between Carmel and San Simeon along the Central California coast, this area lies at the direct meeting point between the Santa Lucia Range and the Pacific Ocean. The terrain rises abruptly from sea level to over 1,500 meters within a short distance, forming a continuous line of cliffs running parallel to California State Route 1. Big Sur was shaped by the uplift of coastal mountain ranges combined with millions of years of wave erosion. Before the 20th century, The area had almost no continuous transportation routes due to its highly fragmented terrain. By 1937, Highway 1 was completed, establishing a continuous route along the coastline. Vegetation shifts with elevation, from coastal redwood forests to drought-resistant chaparral zones. Landmarks such as Bixby Creek Bridge, built in 1932 at a height of about 85 meters, span a valley cutting through the terrain and serve as a connection between two mountain slopes. Visitor activity mainly focuses on roadside viewpoints, parking areas along cliff edges, and driving through winding sections that hug the mountainside, where the view opens up to the full boundary between land and ocean. From this fragmented coastal terrain shaped by cliffs and steep slopes, the journey continues toward a region where snow-capped mountains and glacial lakes dominate the entire landscape. Grand Teton National Park. Located in northwestern Wyoming, this area covers about 1,255 square kilometers, positioned between the Jackson Hole Valley and the Rocky Mountains. The landscape was formed by tectonic faulting, where the Teton Range rises sharply without foothills, creating a dramatic elevation difference of over 4,000 meters between the valley floor and the peaks. Grand Teton National Park is largely shaped by glacial activity during the Pleistocene, leaving behind a system of glacial lakes, such as Jackson Lake, known for its clarity due to minimal sediment deposition. These calm lake surfaces act as natural mirrors, reflecting the mountain range behind them and creating strong symmetrical viewing compositions at many lakeside locations. Travel activities follow fixed routes, such as driving along Teton Park Road, with stops at viewpoints like Snake River Overlook or Schweibucke Landing to observe reflective landscapes. Other activities include boating on Jackson Lake, wildlife observation such as moose in Riverside Meadows, and landscape photography at different times of day as lighting conditions change. From the still waters reflecting steep mountain walls, the journey shifts toward a region where ancient forests dominate in biological height. Redwood National and State Parks. Hidden along the Northern California coast, Redwood National and State Parks preserve the tallest trees on the planet, the coast redwoods, which can exceed 100 meters in height. The area was heavily logged during the 19th century. Timber boomed before being strictly protected, starting in 1968 to preserve what remained of this rare ecosystem. The environment here feels completely different from typical forests. Essig tree trunks rise straight upward, with canopies so high that only limited light reaches the ground, creating a cool and humid atmosphere year-round. Trails such as Talltrees Grove and Ladybird Johnson Grove lead visitors deep into the forest core, where the sheer scale of the trees makes human presence feel noticeably small. Beyond its natural value, the area is closely connected to the culture of indigenous tribes. Traditional practices and stories about the forest are still preserved as part of a living cultural heritage. Exploring this place is not just about walking through the forest, but about experiencing the passage of time through trees that are hundreds of years old. As you leave behind the ancient forest environment, the journey opens into icy landscapes with a completely different shade of blue. Glacier National Park. Stretching across northern Montana along the Canadian border, Glacier National Park is known as one of the most prominent glacial landscapes in North America. The park was established in 1910 after explorers and geologists recognized the unique value of its glaciers and terrain shaped by the last ice age. A defining feature of this area is its turquoise lakes, such as Lake McDonald and Grinnell Lake. This color comes from fine rock particles ground by glaciers, which reflect light and create a distinctive visual effect among. Surrounding these lakes are snow-covered mountains and remaining glaciers, forming a landscape that feels both cold and strikingly clear. Tourism here focuses on outdoor activities such as driving along the Going to the Sun Road, trekking through glacial valleys, and observing wildlife. At the same time, the culture of the Blackfeet people remains present through oral traditions connected to the mountains and lakes. From the cool tones of ice and water, the journey gradually expands toward coastal regions, where nature shifts into a more dynamic and powerful state. Acadia National Park. Located in the state of Maine, in the northeastern United States, Acadia National Park is primarily spread across Mount Desert Island, while also extending to the Schoodic Peninsula, Île aux Eaux, and several smaller offshore islands. The entire area covers nearly 50,000 acres, featuring about 60 miles of coastline, 33 miles of scenic motor roads, 45 miles of carriage roads, and more than 150 miles of hiking trails. The park was established in 1916 on land that had long been home to the Wabanaki people, before gradually becoming a prominent summer retreat for wealthy Americans in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The landscape is defined by granite cliffs shaped over time by glaciers and ocean waves, forming a rugged and irregular coastline. Cadillac Mountain, the park's most prominent peak, is considered the highest point along the U.S. Atlantic coast, offering wide views of the ocean, forests, and surrounding islands. Areas such as Thunderhole and Squidhook Point clearly show the power of tides and sea winds in shaping the terrain. What makes this place appealing is the ability to move from forest and mountains down to rocky shores within a short distance, while also experiencing the character of New England through seafood, fishing villages, and coastal life. After the powerful waves and cold stone along the Atlantic coast, the journey begins to open into a space where snow, fire, and forest exist together within a larger landscape. Mount Rainier National Park. Standing prominently in the state of Washington, Mount Rainier National Park is centered around Mount Rainier, rising to about 4,392 meters, an active stratovolcano. Before being protected, the area was sacred land for indigenous tribes such as the Puyallup and Yakima, who viewed the mountain as a spiritual center. By the late 19th century, explorers and climbers began reaching the summit, documenting their journeys and drawing widespread attention, leading to the park's establishment in 1899. A defining feature of the area is its system of more than 25 glaciers surrounding the mountain, serving as an important water source for the region. In summer, areas like Paradise and Sunrise are covered with vast wildflower meadows, creating a strong contrast with the snow-covered upper slopes. Tourism activities focus on climbing, trekking, and exploring routes that pass through multiple ecological zones. In addition, visitor centers preserve the stories of early expeditions and the development of tourism in the region. From this snow-covered volcanic landscape, the journey continues into a region where forests, ocean, and mountains exist together within a continuous ecosystem. Olympic National Park. Spanning the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State, Olympic National Park is one of the few places in the United States where three distinct ecosystems exist: side by side, temperate rainforest, high mountain ranges, and rugged coastline. The park covers more than 370,000 hectares and was established in 1938 after scientists and explorers recognized its exceptional biological value, with protection supported by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Before that, the land was home to several indigenous tribes, such as the Hoh, Makah, and Quileute, communities that have long been connected to both forest and sea. Their presence remains visible through coastal villages, traditional fishing practices, and stories closely tied to the natural environment. One of the most notable areas is the Hoh Rainforest, where high annual rainfall allows moss and ferns to grow densely across ancient trees. Not far away are the snow-covered Olympic Mountains and rocky beaches like Rialto Beach, where driftwood is scattered along the shore. Visitors can experience multiple environments within a single journey, from walking through dense rainforest to exploring cold coastal shores. As you leave behind this ecologically diverse region, the journey shifts toward dramatic coastal cliffs defined by the deep blue of the ocean. Pali Coast. Stretching along the northwestern coast of Kauai Island in Hawaii, the Pali Coast extends about 27 kilometers and is known for its steep cliffs, formed by volcanic activity millions of years ago, when heavy rainfall and natural erosion have carved deep valleys opening out to the sea, with Kalalau Valley standing out as the most iconic example. Before becoming a travel destination, this area was home to ancient Hawaiian communities. They developed the ahupua, a system, a land division method, running from mountains to the ocean to ensure stable access to water, farmland, and fishing resources. So their close relationship with nature gave spiritual meaning to mountains, valleys, and the sea, expressed through traditional chants and hula dances. The landscape today remains largely untouched, with cliffs covered in tropical vegetation and small, nearly isolated beaches scattered between them. Visitors can access the area via the Kalalau Trail, by kayak, or from aerial viewpoints to fully appreciate the terrain. From this remote coastal environment, rich in cultural identity, the journey continues inland, where mountains and pine forest create an entirely different rhythm of landscape. Rocky Mountain National Park. Located in Colorado, Rocky Mountain National Park is a prominent part of the Rocky Mountains, a range that stretches across North America. The area was formed by geological activity tens of millions of years ago and later shaped by glaciers, creating deep valleys, crystal clear alpine lakes, and peaks rising above 4,000 meters. The park was officially established in 1915, marking an important step in the development of ecotourism in the western United States. Tourism here is highly experience-driven, highlighted by Trail Ridge Road, the highest continuous paved road in the United States, allowing visitors to drive through multiple ecological zones within just a few hours. A lesser-known highlight is Bear Lake in the early morning, when the still water reflects pine forests and snow-covered peaks. In addition, hiking trails leading into the alpine tundra open up landscapes with almost no trees, where wind and terrain create a completely different atmosphere. Local culture is often associated with cowboy imagery and mountain life, while the indigenous Arapaho people consider this land sacred. Some summer festivals still recreate traditional activities, adding historical depth to the travel experience. From these high mountains and clear lakes, the journey continues into a forest, where ancient trees rise toward the sky. Sequoia National Park. Located on the western slopes of the Sierra Nevada in California, this park covers about 1,635 square kilometers, with elevations ranging from around 400 meters to over 4,300 meters above sea level. Established in 1890, it is one of the oldest national parks in the United States, created to protect sequoia forest from the rapid expansion of industrial logging in the late 19th century. Before that, the land was home to indigenous communities such as the Mono and Yokuts, who adapted to the mountain forest environment and left behind cultural traces throughout the region. Their oral traditions and ways of using forest resources reflect a deep connection with nature. The travel experience here focuses on entering ancient forests where tree sizes go far beyond normal perception. Trails such as the Congress Trail allow visitors to get close to massive sequoias, while Morro Rock offers panoramic views of the surrounding mountains. To the quiet atmosphere, with light filtering through the high canopy, creates a sense of complete separation from the outside world. What would you feel standing among the giant ancient trees of Sequoia National Park, where humans seem small compared to living beings that have existed for thousands of years? From this forest of millennial-old life, the journey continues toward a region where ice, ocean, and rock together shape a harsher landscape. Kenai Fjords National Park. Located in southern Alaska near the town of Seward, Kenai Fjords National Park covers about 2,700 square kilometers, much of it dominated by ice from the Harding Ice Field, one of the largest ice fields in the United States. The park was established in 1980 to protect fjord landscapes formed during the Ice Age, where moving glaciers carved deep, narrow inlets into the land. Before becoming a travel destination, this area was home to the indigenous Alutiiq people, coastal communities that developed skills for hunting and navigating cold ocean waters. Their culture is closely tied to the sea, reflected in the use of traditional kayaks and rituals connected to marine life. Tourism here offers a very distinct experience, with boat tours through fjords, allowing close access to tidewater glaciers such as Eiliq and Holgate Glacier. Visitors can witness glacier carving, where massive chunks of ice break off and crash into the water, producing powerful sounds. The area is also home to whales, seals, and seabirds, creating a rich coastal ecosystem. Leaving behind the cold ocean and drifting ice, the journey moves toward lower mountain ranges, where green forests stretch across slopes, softened by mist. Shenandoah National Park. Running along the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia, Shenandoah National Park stretches over 160 kilometers and covers about 800 square kilometers, defined by continuous forested ridges of relatively low elevation. The park was established in 1935 after the U.S. government designated the area for conservation and tourism development, relocating scattered mountain communities to form the park as it exists today. Before that, the region was inhabited by indigenous people and later by farming communities that settled there from the 18th century onward. Traces of their presence remain in old trails, foundations of homes, and historical stories tied to mountain life, adding a cultural layer distinct from more untouched wilderness parks. Travel here is more relaxed and accessible compared to higher mountain regions. Skyline Drive, a scenic road running along the ridgeline, allows visitors to view the entire Shenandoah Valley from above. In addition, hiking trails leading to waterfalls such as Dark Hollow Falls and White Oak Canyon are popular highlights. In autumn, the entire forest changes color, creating one of the most recognizable seasonal landscapes in the eastern United States. As the journey leaves behind these gentle mountains and broadleaf forests, it moves toward a sharper mountain landscape shaped by glaciers and cold blue lakes. North Cascades National Park. Hidden in northern Washington near the Canadian border, North Cascades National Park spans over 2,000 square kilometers and is often called the American Alps for its rugged, jagged mountain terrain. The park was established in 1968 after years of conservation efforts, as the area once faced threats bent from resource extraction and large-scale hydroelectric development. This land was once used seasonally by indigenous tribes such as the Skagits, who relied on valleys and rivers for fishing and trade. While physical traces are limited, stories of journeys through the mountains are still preserved through oral traditions. The landscape is defined by more than 300 glaciers, more than any other U.S. park outside of Alaska. Lakes such as Diablo Lake and Ross Lake display a distinctive turquoise color caused by glacial rock flour, creating a strong contrast with the darker surrounding mountains. Travel here focuses on deeper exploration, including multi-day trekking, kayaking on alpine lakes, and driving along the North Cascades Highway for panoramic views. With limited commercialization, the area offers a strong sense of isolation. From these cold, rugged mountains, the journey opens into a space where wide waters reflect the sky between snow-covered peaks. Lake Tahoe. Located on the border of California and Nevada, Lake Tahoe is one of the largest and deepest freshwater lakes in the United States, covering about 490 square kilometers with a maximum depth of over 500 meters. The lake was formed around 2 million years ago by tectonic activity and later shaped by glaciers, creating its wide basin and remarkable water clarity. Before tourism developed, the area was home to the indigenous Washoe people, who considered the lake sacred and lived in close connection with nature. In the 19th century, with the expansion of transportation routes and logging activities, Lake Tahoe gradually became a resort destination, especially during both summer and winter seasons. Travel experiences here vary by season. In summer, activities include boating, swimming, and exploring lakeside beaches such as Sand Harbor, known for its clear water and distinctive granite formations. In Mentor. In winter, the surrounding region becomes a major skiing destination, with large resorts attracting visitors from around the world. What makes Lake Tahoe a year-round destination, where the beauty of clear blue water, snow-covered mountains, and diverse seasonal activities come together. Leaving behind the vast lake surface, the journey continues into a quiet valley where small waterfalls are hidden within green forests. Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Stretching along the Cuyahoga River between Cleveland and Akron, Cuyahoga Valley National Park is one of the few national parks in the United States shaped by environmental restoration. Covering about 130 square kilometers, the area officially became a national park in 2000 after the once heavily polluted river was successfully restored by the late 20th century. This region was once an important trade route thanks to the Ohio and Erie Canal, connecting industrial areas and supporting the transport of goods. Remains such as towpaths, wooden bridges, and canal-side structures are still preserved, clearly reflecting a distinct period of economic development in the eastern United States. Travel here is slower and more intimate. Visitors can bike or walk along the towpath trail, following the old canal route, while stopping at smaller waterfalls like Brandywine Falls, where water flows down through dense forest, creating a natural focal point. In addition, the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad offers another way to view the landscape without much physical effort. The combination of natural scenery and industrial history creates a space that balances past and present. Leaving behind the quiet valley and winding river, the journey opens into a colder coastline with dense fog and a more rugged landscape. Olympic Coast. Running along the western edge of the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State, the Olympic Coast forms a stretch of more than 110 kilometers of shoreline where nature remains in a rare, untouched state. The area is directly exposed to the Pacific Ocean, resulting in a consistently Volcanic climate, frequent fog, and rapidly changing conditions throughout the day. From early on, indigenous communities such as the Maka and Quileute have lived here, building their lives around the ocean. They developed techniques for whale hunting, fishing, and using driftwood to construct homes. These traditions are not only part of the past, but continue to be preserved as part of coastal cultural identity. The landscape is defined by algae-covered rock shores, sea stacks rising from the ocean, and large driftwood logs scattered along the coast. Locations such as Ruby Beach and Rialto Beach clearly show the long-term effects of geological erosion. Visitors often choose to walk along the shoreline, explore tide pools, or camp overnight to fully experience the cold, Volcanic coastal environment. From this fog-covered, wave-driven coastline, the journey gradually expands northward into a region where the terrain becomes larger and more extreme, with towering mountain ranges. Denali National Park. Spreading across the vast interior of Alaska, Denali National Park covers more than 24,000 square kilometers and surrounds Denali, rising to about 6,190 meters, the highest peak in North America. The area was established in 1917, originally to protect wildlife populations, before gradually becoming a leading destination for large-scale wilderness exploration. This land was once home to the indigenous Athabascan people, who named the mountain Denali, meaning the Great One, reflecting its importance in their daily life and beliefs. Oral traditions and survival knowledge in harsh, cold environments are still preserved today. Tourism here is carefully controlled to protect the ecosystem. Most visitors travel by shuttle buses along Denali Park Road, reducing environmental impact while allowing opportunities to observe wildlife such as grizzly bears, caribou, and wolves in their natural habitat. Other activities like trekking, camping, and scenic flights by small aircraft provide a broader perspective on the true scale of the region. Leaving behind this vast and cold wilderness, the journey shifts toward a place where volcanic activity continues to shape the landscape day by day. Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Stretching across the Big Island of Hawaii, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is one of the few places in the world where visitors can observe active volcanic processes in real time. The park covers more than 1,300 square kilometers and was established in 1916 to protect two major volcanoes, Kilauea and Mauna Loa, geological forces that continue to shape the island. From a cultural perspective, this area holds deep meaning for native Hawaiians, who believe that Pele, the goddess of fire and volcanoes, resides here. Stories, rituals, and beliefs connected to Pele are still preserved, showing a strong relationship between people and nature within Polynesian culture. The travel experience here centers on directly observing the changing surface of the Earth. Visitors can walk across cooled lava fields, explore the Halemaumau crater, or enter lava tubes such as Thurston Lava Tube. At certain times, glowing lava can be seen at night, creating a rare visual phenomenon. Beyond volcanic features, the area also includes tropical forests, creating a striking contrast within the same landscape. From this land where fire and lava are constantly in motion, the journey continues toward a natural icon defined by waterfalls and massive granite cliffs. Yosemite National Park. Located in the central Sierra Nevada of California, Yosemite National Park covers more than 3,000 square kilometers and is considered one of the most iconic national parks in the United States. The area has been protected since 1890 after naturalists and photographers such as Ansel Adams helped bring images of Yosemite to the world, encouraging the conservation movement in the country. Yosemite was once home to the indigenous Awanichi people, communities that lived in close connection with the local ecosystem for generations. Their traditional stories and ways of using natural resources are still preserved as part of the region's history. The park is best known for its massive granite formations such as El Capitan and Half Dome, along with its large waterfall system, including Yosemite Falls, which rises over 700 meters. Yosemite Valley serves as the main visitor area, where many of the park's most famous viewpoints are easily accessible. Experiences here range from rock climbing and trekking to cycling and camping. Trails like the Mist Trail bring visitors close to waterfalls, while Glacier Point offers wide panoramic views from above. Arches National Park. Spreading across the Colorado Plateau in Utah, this area covers about 310 square kilometers and contains more than 2,000 natural stone arches, formed through weathering and erosion over hundreds of millions of years. Layers of sandstone cracked apart and were slowly worn down by wind and water, creating distinctive curved formations like Delicate Arch, one of the most recognizable geological icons in the United States. Before being officially designated as a national park in 1971, the area had already been documented by geologists and photographers since the early 20th century, helping bring the image of the Red Rock Desert to a wider audience. This growing attention played a key role in conservation efforts and the development of tourism as the dry landscape became increasingly recognized. Visitor activity here centers on short trails leading to major arches, combined with observing the terrain under changing light conditions, especially at sunset, when the rock shifts into deeper shades of red. In addition, driving along the internal park roads allows access to multiple rock formations within a relatively short time. From the harsh desert setting and wind-shaped rock structures, the journey gradually opens into a landscape where water once again becomes a dominant force in shaping the terrain. Niagara Falls. Located along the border between the United States and Canada, Niagara Falls is a large waterfall system formed by the flow of the Niagara River, connecting Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. Its formation began at the end of the last ice age, when melting glaciers created powerful water flow that continuously eroded the softer rock beneath, causing the falls to gradually retreat upstream over thousands of years. Since the early 19th century, this area has become one of the earliest tourist destinations in North America, as railways and later bridges across the border made access much easier. Niagara quickly developed into a major tourism hub and became a source of inspiration for countless works of art and photography. The experience here focuses on directly observing the massive volume of water plunging down, especially at Horseshoe Falls, the largest section of the system. Viewing platforms are positioned at multiple angles, from high vantage points to areas close to the base, where the force of the water and the mist spreading through the air can be clearly felt. More than just a waterfall, this area represents the continuous power of flowing water, where the landscape is constantly being reshaped and renewed over time. This journey is not just a series of destinations, but a connection between different terrains, climates, and ecosystems across the United States. From snow-covered mountain ranges and ancient forests, thousands of years old, to rugged coastlines and active volcanic landscapes, each place tells its own story of how nature has formed and evolved over time. The constantly changing environments throughout the journey offer a clearer view of the diversity and scale of natural landscapes across the country. If you found this journey helpful and engaging, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss upcoming videos. Each new journey will continue to take you to different regions, with new stories and unique experiences to explore. Thank you for taking the time to watch and stay with us until the end of the video. See you again in the next journeys.